Hello, this is Angelia, and you're listening to or watching the podcast, Why You Do What You Do, a podcast that talks about human development and psychology to maybe help you figure out a little bit more about why you do what you do. We left off yesterday talking about young, old, old, and oldest old. And it all just depends, on what's going on. I don't know, the mic is not working well today. I don't know what the problem is. But we're going to take back on, secondary aging and things. Health and longevity are closely linked to education and other aspects of socioeconomic status. So, better off you are, the more healthy you're likely to be. And that's because you can afford, the good food, you can afford health care, In a 60-year longitudinal study of 237 Harvard students and 332 disadvantaged urban youth, the disadvantaged men's health deteriorated faster, which, goes to say, unless they had finished college. So, if they're better educated, they're more likely to have probably a better outlook on life and therefore more willing to take care of themselves. Some predictors of physical and mental health and length of life were beyond the individual's control. Parents' social class, cohesion of the childhood family, ancestral longevity, and childhood temperament. But other predictors, in addition to higher education, were at least partly controllable. And now we all know when sometimes we'll see a kid and we're like, that kid's doomed from day one. And you're like, that's a shame, but and the things you control are alcohol abuse, smoking, body mass index, exercise, marital stability, and coping mechanisms. And we work on these things. These are things that we can work on. My husband and I, we're not ones for depriving ourselves so much. So the body mass index is something we're working on. He clearly I can pinch more than an inch. He can a little bit, but he's still pretty thin. He could still wear his high school jersey. I can't. I could probably not get it over, parts of me that have changed since then. So, Today, social scientists who specialize in the study of aging refer to three groups of older adults: the young old, old, and the oldest old. Chronologically, young old generally refers to people aged 65 to 74, who are usually active, vital, and vigorous, usually. The old, ages 75 to 84, and the oldest old, ages 85 and above, are more likely to be frail and infirm and to have difficulty managing activities of daily living. A more meaningful classification, though, is by functional age, how well a person functions in a physical and social environment in comparison with others of the same chronological age. They have those tests online and in magazines where, how old are you really? How old is your body? And things of that nature. And everybody's different, I was probably not the healthiest horse in the stall, and I was pretty athletic when I was young, and, I kind of beat my body up a little bit, and it tore down quick, which, makes sense, if you're not that healthy to begin with, and you beat yourself up, doing things you want to do, you're probably going to wear out pretty quick. But then there's other people who just kind of take care of themselves, take it in stride, and, they stay healthy up into old age. So, it just, it depends on who you are and what you've done. A person of 90 who is still in good health may be functionally younger than a person of 65 who is not. Thus, we can use the term young old excuse me, for the healthy, active majority of older adults, and old for the frail, infirm minority, regardless of chronological age. because, I knew people who were going down health-wise in their 30s. So, again, it just depends on genetics and how well you take care of yourself. Research in gerontology, the study of the aged and aging processes, and geriatrics, the branch of medicine concerned with aging, has underlined the need for support services, especially for the oldest old, many of whom have outlived their savings and cannot pay for their own care. And that's a shame. I recommend everybody try to, save and have plans and things, because, you don't want to put that burden on your children. I certainly won't. Physical development, longevity, and aging. How long will you live? Why do you have to grow old? Would you want to live forever? And that's a question a lot of people, say yes to. And I'm like, I don't know. Human beings have been wondering about these questions for thousands of years. The first question involves several related concepts. Life expectancy is the age to which a person born at a certain time and place is statistically likely to live, given his or her current age and health status. And again, that's a statistic. It's not across the board. Longevity is how long a person actually does live. Life expectancy is based on the average longevity of members of a population. And again, everybody's different, so you can't go by averages always. The human lifespan is the longest period that members of our species can live. The Bible says the years of man are 120. So God's kind of laid that out there. It's like, yeah, about 120, that's about as far as you're going to get. The second question expresses an age-old theme, a yearning for a fountain or potion of youth. Remember the conquistadors looking for the fountain of youth down in Florida, and there's a Ponce de Leon fountain. We actually been to it. People were swimming around in it and stuff. Behind this yearning is a fear, not so much of chronological age as of biological aging. People are afraid your body's going to fall apart. I mean, that's just natural. When we're young, we might be cute or sexy or, at least just us and can do what we can do. And everybody, is worried about getting old, falling apart, and you can't do the stuff you used to could do. Loss of health and physical prowess, because, that's going to happen. Let's face it. We're not going to get healthier as we age, and we're not going to get stronger in general as we age. Now, if that's a worry for you, you might want to start doing a little, free lifting or something. The third question expresses a concern not just with length, but with quality of life. Because that's a big thing for most people. We want a quality life. And if we can't have a quality life, that's not good. Trends and factors in life expectancy. Underlying the graying of the population is a rapid rise in life expectancy. A baby born in the United States in 2000 could expect to live 76.9 years, about 29 years longer than a baby born in 1900. So, that's a pretty good difference. And 3 times as long as at the dawn of human history. So, back then, they were living to be like 30 years old. Worldwide, average life expectancy has risen 37% since 1955. So that's pretty good. From 48 years to 66 years. And is projected to reach 73 years by 2025. Based on past and present demographic trends, one researcher has predicted that life expectancy at birth in individualized countries will reach 85 to 87 by the middle of the 21st century. So, that's pretty good. Such long life is unprecedented in the history of humankind. In fact, of all the people who have ever lived to be 65 or older, half are alive today. The longer people live, the longer they are likely to live. An American woman who survives to age 65 can expect to reach 84. Excuse me. And a man to reach 81. Gains in life expectancy since the 1970s have come mainly from reductions in diseases that mainly affect older people, such as heart disease, cancer, and stroke. Even if these diseases could be eliminated, some gerontologists say life expectancy might rise into the upper 90s. But other maladies would replace them, and body systems would continue to decline. It's just a fact of life. You know, anything, the older it gets, the more it wears out. Life expectancy is unlikely to rise much higher than that unless scientists find a way to modify the basic processes of aging on a widespread scale. And, you know, people are working on it, but my fear is that it will be available to the wealthy and not the other folks like us. On average, a person born in a developed country can expect to live 13 years longer than a person born in a developing country. And again, that's because of food and health care. But life expectancy and safety varies more widely in certain countries. In the African nation of Zimbabwe and Malawi, a child born in 2000 could expect to live less than 38 years. And, you know, that's a shame. Oh, gosh, I'm going to sneeze again. Bless me, Lord. Oh, my gosh. And that's because of the poverty level, the food situation, the violence in the areas. Oh, my goodness. In some places, though, we lost my place. In Japan, in the same year, life expectancy was 80.7 years, the highest in the world. So pay attention to that. The Japanese got it going on as far as living long. Their diet certainly probably has a lot to do with it. The most dramatic improvements in developing regions have occurred in East Asia, where life expectancy grew from less than 45 years in 1950 to more than 72 years in the year 2000. That's quite a jump. In some places, though, life expectancy has decreased. Between 1987 and 1994, life expectancy for Russian men dropped by 7.3 years, due largely to economic and social instability, high rates of alcohol and tobacco use, poor nutrition, depression, and deterioration of the health care system. So that hit them hard over there when things fell apart. In parts of Africa hard hit by the scourge of AIDS, life expectancy may be at least 30 years lower in 2010 than otherwise expected. So, you know, that's a shame. Wide disparities also exist within the United States. Death rates among the elderly are highest, y'all know my tongue, in small towns and rural areas. And that again has to do with health care, food availability. American Indian men in South Dakota have a life expectancy of only 56.5 years. Not very high. And African American men in Washington, D.C. can expect to live only about 58. Meanwhile, Asian American men in affluent regions of New York and Massachusetts survive to nearly 90. So being affluent makes a difference. These radical disparities may be due in part to differences in income, education, and lifestyle, and possibly to genetic factors as well. On average, white Americans live nearly 6 years longer than African Americans. As discussed in previous sections, African Americans, especially men, are more vulnerable than white Americans to illness and death from infancy through middle childhood. However, the gap begins to close in older adulthood, and by age 85, African Americans can expect slightly more remaining years than whites. So that's some good news for y'all. The difference between black and white life expectancies has narrowed. Men and women of both races are living longer than ever before. A new way to look at life expectancy is in terms of the number of years a person can expect to live in good health, free of disabilities, and that's again important, quality of life. Among 191 countries, Japan has the longest healthy life expectancy at birth, 74.5 years. The United States ranks 24th. We got some improving to do, with a healthy life expectancy of 70 to 72.6 years for women and 67.5 years for men. Reasons for this relatively poor showing as compared with other industrialized nations include ill health among the urban poor and some ethnic groups, a relatively large proportion of HIV-related death and disability in young and middle adulthood, high rates of lung disease and coronary heart disease, and fairly high levels of violence. Gender differences. Nearly all over the world, women typically live longer than men. Sorry, guys. Though there are exceptions in developing countries where girls and women face severe discrimination. Women's longer life has been attributed to several factors: their greater tendency to take care of themselves and to seek medical care, the higher level of social support they enjoy, and the greater biological vulnerability of males throughout their life. Again, sorry guys. And that's where I'm going to leave you for today. I hope this helped you maybe figure out a little bit more about why you do what you do. Please like and share this educational program so we can spread it around the world. If you want to help me out, subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you want to help me out even more, go to my Patreon page and become a patron. Thanks for watching. That's all for now. Until next time.